Well, good evening. How are you? It's just gone 9 o'clock here in Portstewart in Northern Ireland. And for the very last time, I'm saying welcome to this lockdown book reading. Would you believe it's been 12 weeks since I started doing this? I just thought it'd be a nice thing to do to cheer people up. I had no idea so many people would join in and enjoy it. So thanks everyone who's been coming along every evening. Yeah, so it's been 12 weeks, three books, Paperboy, Bread Boy, all grown up, and I counted it up tonight. 58 chapters. You've had to listen to 58 chapters of me. Gluttons for punishment. So anyway, this is the final one. Yeah, so tonight I'm on to All Grown Up, and we're on to the final chapter, which is chapter 20. And as usual, I'll stop halfway through. And if you want to say hello in the comments, give me a wee shout, and I'll read those out as when I take a break in the middle. And as promised last night, there may be a special guest appearance tonight, but you'll have to wait and see. So this is chapter 20 of All Grown Up, and it's entitled It Must Be Love. Where is she? I wondered. I was standing at the model in my Feed the World t-shirt and faded jeans, biting my nails and waiting for Leslie to accompany me to the canteen for a feed of sausage and chips and beans. Leslie had recently introduced me to new exotic foods in Balachi, such as lasagna and another pasta dish with chicken and real garlic. This was completely new to my palate, as my only experience of garlic prior to this was in Dracula movies on BBC Two on a Friday night. Italian cuisine was delicious, but I preferred to have the more traditional something and chips at lunchtime. I was listening to Agnetha's solo album on my Sony Walkman, but the batteries were low, so she started to sound more like Bjorn. To complement my Feed the World t-shirt, I had 2 days worth of stubble on my chin. I was going for the Bob Geldof look because he was interested in saving the world too. My Feed the World t-shirt had recently been at the centre of an unfortunate incident with my housemates, however, as in a protest against the persistent allegation that I never washed the dishes. Aaron, Colm and Peter decided to teach me a lesson. I arrived home late one night after a particularly demanding Christian Union committee meeting on whether or not healing should be allowed during the main weekly meeting. As I walked up the weed-strewn pathway to our student house, I saw that my Feed the World t-shirt had been stuck to my bedroom window for the entire world to see. I knew immediately that my housemates had been up to some high japes, and when I entered the house and opened the door to my room, I found several weeks of dirty dishes piled on my bed, and a note on the back of my t-shirt which said, "But do the dishes first." I was outraged at the suggestion that I was not pulling my weight in the kitchen. I had washed the dishes at least 3 times that semester, and I had made a point of mopping the kitchen floor every few months. In spite of this unjust sullying of my Feed the World t-shirt, I continued to wear it with pride to tell the world that not only did I want to feed it, I also supported Bob Geldof's endeavour to feed everyone in Africa from the proceeds of Do They Know It's Christmas, even though Bob himself was a bit of a slabber and the Boom Town Rats had lost it. It was not like Leslie to be late. I was the one who arrived late for our dates, usually as a result of something important like an incident in the Middle East or an argument over niche in the Students' Union or an emergency prayer meeting in the Christian Union or a brilliant cliffhanger at the end of Doctor Who. Even when Leslie had been in the library all day trying to complete her dissertation on stress in the RUC, she was always on time. So this was very unusual. "Stood up tone," Byron Drake approached me with a broad smile and a folded Guardian. "Just waiting for my girlfriend. This happens sometimes, Byron, when you actually have a real live girlfriend. Has yours got a puncture?" I asked. After 3 years at university, I had mastered the art of the clever, sarcastic put down, and I knew exactly how to stand up for myself. I was just as confident as Byron now, and he knew it. Very droll, Virgin, very droll, replied Byron. I've just been reading that wee book you like, I said. Byron looked atypically impressed. The Catcher in the Rye. Wow, you're really getting there, Tone. You're getting there. It's almost Nietzschean, I replied nonchalantly, as if I now understood what this phrase meant. Really, really dark and really, really deep. Byron patted me on the back, returned his attention to the Morrissey playing on his headphones, and walked on with the flick of his latest Flock of Seagulls fringe. Here, Tony, can you lend me your lecture notes from this morning? Asked a very hungover Marty Mullen, whose breath had just crept up behind me. Aye, dead on, I replied. Dead on, said Marty. At this point in the conversation, I knew that Marty was I noticed that Marty was wearing a brand new leather jacket, and I could tell by the smell that it wasn't a cheap plastic imitation one, like the one I'd purchased from the bargain bucket in John Fraser's. The first time I sported my impressive but slightly too shiny faux leather jacket, my big brother accused me of looking like that big fruit Freddy from Queen. I never wore the jacket again and donated it to the Shankill Methodist in a black bin bag, although I wasn't sure how many Freddie Mercury fans attended the annual church jumble sale. Can I have them back tomorrow? Asked Marty. Aye, nae bother. Are you going for a sandwich? No, I'm meeting Leslie. Aye, nae bother, Marty said, about to walk on. Like your jacket, I admitted, even though I was feeling highly envious. How could he afford a leather jacket when he was always boasting about how many pints of Jack Daniels he had consumed the night before? I knew I should control my jealousy, but I couldn't help myself. When would I ever be able to afford a proper leather jacket made of dead cow's skin and not PVC? I didn't think you were allowed them west of the Bann, I added with pure student sarcasm. Sure, you're only allowed to wear sashes and bowler hats where you come from, replied Marty smartly. I was determined not to allow this to descend into a sectarian spat, because this would mean Marty would never accept an invitation to come to the Christian Union and get saved, so I resisted my sinful urge to reply with a comment about balaclavas in Londonderry. Aye, right, I said. Aye, right, said Marty, deliberately pulling up the collar of his leather jacket as if he was a white Michael Jackson from Derry. See ya, I said. See ya, said Marty. It was remarkable how Marty and I had become such dear friends in just a few short years. By this stage, Leslie was 15 minutes late, and this was 15 minutes later than she had ever been, even during the January sales. I spotted Aaron Ward and two of Leslie's favourite Heathers from Portadown crossing the entrance hall, and I dashed over to see if they had any information on my girlfriend's whereabouts. Leslie shared a big detached house in Portstewart, owned by a wealthy man who Mummy and Daddy knew, with these two Heathers, and they were bound to know why she was so late. What are you like, wee lad? Said Aaron, looking me up and down. He disapproved of my heavily gelled new romantic hair, designer stubble, and campaigning t-shirt just as much as I was bored by his rugby shirts and Pringle sweaters. He gave me a dead arm to indicate that he meant no harm. Have you seen Leslie? I inquired. Och, she's not well, so she's not, chorused the two Heathers. Where is she? I asked urgently, concerned that she'd been rushed to hospital with another asthma attack. She's in bed at the house, said the two Heathers. So I'll tell you what happened next in a wee minute, but in the meantime, I'll say hello. Who's here tonight? Let me see. Last one, says Alan McLean. Alan McLean, I loved your Jackanory video. That was brilliant. I always wanted to be in Jackanory. So if anyone wants to know what I'm talking about, Alan posted a wee video of the beginning of the children's TV programme Jackanory, where somebody read a book and then edited me into it. It's very funny. Cheered me up no end, said Donna Hunter. Thank you. Great to be with you in the finale, Colin and Helen, or Colin and Helen even. Good to have you along. Lovely. We'll miss my daily fix, says Ruth Watson. Thanks, Tony. It's been great, says Evelyn Brown. All the regulars are here tonight. It's been a great 12 weeks. Really enjoyed it, says Marty McCauley in the States. Hi, Tony, says Jim Poole. Your readings took us from darkness into the light. Well, that's lovely thing to say. Thank you. Hi, Tony. Ivy Rosenstone, watching and listening. Angela Montgomery, evening, Tony. Thank you so much. We've enjoyed watching and listening to you. Angela and Keith will miss the 9 p.m. Yeah, Angela and Keith Montgomery. I don't think you've missed any of them. I think you've been at every single one of these. So thank you. By the way, I should say that I'm loading them all up, all of the videos up on my on my YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, which is Paperboy Belfast, you can sort of watch them all again. If you're a real glutton for punishment, they'll be there if you want to watch them or share them with anyone else. Norma Fleming, I've been here nearly every night. I know that, Norma, apart from when the internet played up or I fell asleep. That's the effect I have sometimes when reading to people. Are you going to miss it? Thanks very much, Norma. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Davy Calder, you've made such a difference during lockdown. Thank you from the Calders. Thank you. And other regulars, I think you've been here nearly every night too. Going to miss this, Tony, says Marlene Williamson. You have no idea. Yes. Some hate one here is laughing loud, he says Helen. I made a live reading at last, says Stella McKinney. Thank you for keeping us sane with the laughter. It's been great. So it has. Lovely. Thanks, Stella. Nave. Oh, hello, Tony, for the last evening. I've enjoyed it. Many thanks. Big hi, Jeremy. Jeremy Skillen. Anne Writing says, I'm sure Leslie fixed that. Gail Reese. Brendan Toll getting in early tonight, making sure to miss that wee girl. Well, you never know. You never know. There might be a special guest appearance. Oh, Tony, says Anne Kirk, won't know what to do with myself at 9 p.m. every evening. Really appreciate you taking the time to read to us. I feel it was part of your life growing up. Thank you. Well, thanks for sharing it with me. It's been great. I really enjoyed it myself. Every evening, it's felt like, part of a little community while we've been stuck at home. Tony, my daddy's watching with me from Belfast, says Karen Child. Brilliant, Karen. Good evening, Norma Sloan, another regular. Norma says we need a Belfast Bard Facebook page. And Shiva Waltz says, if only it was the final out of the lockdown. I'm so over it. I've enjoyed your readings, though. Thank you. Hope all is well with you there in the States. Paul Betts, question for Leslie. Did the dirty dishes prank teach Tony to do the dishes? Those very nasty flatmates. Thank you, Peter. So it is, says Laura. You the best, says Kirk. Hiya, Susan Welgar. Now, have I got everyone there? Oh no, there's lots of comments. I'll keep going. Brilliant, says Patricia. Hiya, Tony. Going to miss you every morning here in Oz. Yeah, because it's the morning there. Where am I now? Remember it well, says Heather. Kerry. Susan Craig, have listened to each and every one of the 58. Brilliant, Susan. What do we have to do to persuade you to do more? We'll have to write a few more books, apart from anything else, Susan. What do we see? Orlo Sullivan, can't believe it's the last night. Yeah, all the best to all the O'Sullivans there. Hi, Norma Harrison. Wouldn't miss today's reading. That's brilliant. Michael McKinley Sr., another regular. I don't think you've missed any of these, Michael. Standing ovations, Mr. Macaulay. Thank you. Parting is such sweet sorrow, says Kenneth Glenville. Says Susan Walger. No, I'm protesting already, says Anne Riding. Hello, Sandro Simonetti, and Susan Wilgar says it's been lovely, and it's great crack, says Anne Riding. Thank you all. Those are all lovely comments. So I'm going to continue with the story of the final chapter. So anyway, Leslie is 15 minutes late, and I've just found out that she's not well. She's in bed at the house, said the two Heathers. Within seconds, I was on my way to the bus stop for Port Stewart. I was missing my lunch and a lecture on the terminal decline of cinema, but I didn't care. My girlfriend needed me, and she needed me now. The minute I arrived at the bus stop, I began sticking my thumb out at passing motorists. Fortunately, I soon got a lift with a kind woman driving a mini metro with a picture of Charles and Diana on the dashboard and a strawberry-smelling cardboard tree hanging from her rear-view mirror. Within 10 minutes, I had thanked her kindly, jumped out of the car and ran round the corner to Leslie's Student Digs, a large house with central heating and a sea view, which was 3 times the size of my family home. although strangely lacking in an avocado bidet. I rang the doorbell. No answer. Then I rapped the brass knocker. No answer. What if Leslie was unconscious? I would have to knock the door down like Tubbs in Miami Vice and breaking into a drug den. Then I remembered that in movies and such circumstances, the man always threw pebbles at his lover's window. I grabbed a couple of pebbles from the soil around the hydrangea bushes in the front garden and chucked them at Leslie's bedroom window. Unfortunately, I missed by several miles and had to search for more pebbles so I could have another go. A grumpy looking woman passed by and stared at me disapprovingly. Typical Belfast, she said, and walked on. After 3 or 4 further stone throwing attempts, I noticed the curtains moving. A very pale looking Leslie popped her head out, then motioned to indicate that I should go round the back of the house. This was awful. What if I had forced my girlfriend to get out of bed at a critical point in her disease, causing her to relapse? What if I had to call an ambulance and she ended up in the Royal and the doctors had no time to see her because of a bomb or a shooting or something? What if she died? How could I live without her? I wondered. I ran round to the back of the house, past the hexagonal stones taken from the Giant's Causeway, and placed attractively in the garden, and sure enough, the back door was open. I entered the house and leapt up the stairs, faster than Sebastian Coe at the Olympics. I burst in to Leslie's bedroom. "I'm not wearing any makeup," were her first words. I was very relieved, as these did not sound like the words of a dying woman. Leslie was tucked up in bed in her Marks and Spencer's dressing gown, with a million hankies, a hot water bottle, and the pink cuddly dog I had bought her for Valentine's Day that year. Although just a few years ago I had received 14 Valentine's Day cards, this year I received only one. "Don't look at me," Leslie sniffled miserably. "How could I ever not look at you?" I said, smiling. "Is it your asthma? Do you need your puffer?" "No, it's the friggin' flu," replied Leslie, "and my hair's awful." I was relieved that the illness was not life-threatening and climbed up onto the bed beside a mountain of used pink tissues. "So I don't need to examine your big breaths?" Leslie laughed weakly. "I don't like you seeing me like this," she said. "Sure, you saw me when I poked into your mommy's beige bidet," I said. "It's Sahara gold." "Well, I think you're just as beautiful without your makeup anyway." Leslie let out 6 consecutive sneezes. "Oh, you're just saying that. You've no idea." "I'm not. I mean it, so I do." "Will you make me a lamb sip and a hot ribena?" I ran downstairs to the huge kitchen, boiled the kettle, prepared the remedies, and carried them upstairs on a floral tray. "There you are now," I said, administering the healing potions. "I'll look after you." "Will you, Tony?" Leslie asked, looking at me with her lovely eyes as she sipped ribena from her favourite mug with the ponies on it. "I'll always look after you," I added. "What do you mean?" Leslie asked, before 6 more sneezes. What do I mean? What do I mean? I wondered. Then, suddenly, impulsively, I knew exactly what I meant. I cuddled up very close to my girl in bed. Joyce Huggett would have approved, as I was fully clothed and Leslie was wearing more layers of clothing than if she had not been in bed at all. I held her close in my arms and realised that I was going to ask her a very important question. This was the most important question a man could ask a woman. The moment was spoiled slightly when Leslie sneezed again, and the hot water bottle sandwiched between our bodies, almost scalding me in the region of my Jimmy Joe. "Will you marry me?" I asked lovely Leslie from up the country.
Of course I will.
Really?
Yes.
No kidding?
Why?
Even though I get on your nerves sometimes?
Yes.
Even though I'm just some wee lad from up the shackle?
Yes, but you've got potential.
Are you sure?
Aye.
So, we're getting married then?
Yes, Tony, I love you.
I love you too. So I do.
What will Mommy say?
She'll say, "What am I going to wear?" We laughed.
I thought you were never going to ask. You have no idea,
Leslie said, beaming through a handful of tissues before launching into yet another sneezing fit. I was going to marry a beautiful serial sneezer. And here she is.
Hi, everybody. I have so enjoyed passing him on to you for an hour every night. He's with me 24/7 a day and my head is away. So you have been welcome to him for an hour every night.
You see, these are the challenges of lockdown. So thank you very much for looking after me to keep for an hour every weekday evening to keep Leslie sane. So let me just say, what is anyone? Yeah. Hi, lovely Leslie, says Norma.
Hi, Norma.
Fabulous, says Karen. Norma says, "Oh, my nerves, I can't cope."
I still say that.
Gail Reese says, "Hiya."
Hi, Gail.
Hello, Leslie, says Norma Fleming.
Hi, Norma.
You are very lovely, says Anne Riding.
Oh, I'll slip you that $5 later.
We are so grateful, says Norma Harrison. You're very kind, Leslie, says Orlo Sullivan. Thanks, Leslie, says Don Hunter. You deserve a medal.
Oh, thank you, Donna.
Lovely, Leslie.
I do deserve a medal. Actually, I really do. In fact, you know what I deserve? I deserve a brand new diamond ring.
Oh dear. Just a pity I couldn't pass Simon on to you, Leslie, for an hour in the evening to give me peace too, says Ivy.
Hi, Ivy.
Hello, Leslie, says Susan Wilgar. Brilliant, says Catherine Stevens. Lovely to meet Leslie too. You've no idea.
No
how
idea.
Much fun and laughter you've brought to lockdown. Thank you, Tony. Hi, Leslie. That's Helen Stewart. Great to see you.
Hi, Helen. I moved over here.
Oh, yes. It's one of those crying times, says Aline. Hi, Leslie. Lovely to see you. What an ending, says Jim Poole. Hello, Leslie.
Hi,
good
Jim.
to see you.
Oh,
Lovely to meet the wee girl. The wee Blacky girl, says Stella McKinney.
No, the big girl. I was called the big girl from up the country. Right.
Thank you very much, my love.
I'm away to Logan's.
She's away to do some online shopping. You have no idea. So I'm going to finish. Yes, after that. It'll all be an anticlimax after that. So we lay together on the bed and hugged and talked until we realised it was dark and we hadn't put the light on. We agreed that it was better not to announce to the Christian Union that I had proposed while we were in bed together. We talked for hours about our hopes and dreams for the future. We would get engaged as soon as possible. If I could borrow enough money to buy a diamond and sapphire ring like the one Charles bought Diana. And on the one strict condition that the engagement ring would not be purchased in Argos this time. Then we would graduate and get jobs so we could afford to buy a house and get married. This would mean official sex, approved by Joyce Huggett, and I could leave Bo Derek behind in the sand dunes on Port Stewart Strand forever. I'd get a job as a television presenter on Blue Peter, and Leslie would become a trainee manager for Marks and Spencer's, and we had earned so much money that I could afford my first real leather jacket, and Leslie could continue to guarantee employment for the staff in Logan's boutique near Ballymena. Or maybe we would go to Africa to save the hungry children and sacrifice all our material possessions instead. Or perhaps we would move back to Belfast and live on the peace line and work to bring peace to Northern Ireland. Or Leslie could get a job as a prison governor and I could become a famous war reporter. Or we might buy a pebble-dashed chalet bungalow in Macrofelt with a Leylandi hedge and a bidet. Or maybe we would move to a cottage in Glaryford and rescue a wee dog and Leslie would look after it in case I accidentally killed it. We could buy a brand new Renault 5 or a Porsche if we wanted to and buy nasturtium borders and variegated shrubs and garden centres and go on camping holidays to the Scottish Highlands or go to Egypt to see the pyramids. Then After a few years, if Leslie could get over her fear of childbirth, we would have two perfect children and take them on day trips to Belfast Zoo on bank holiday Mondays and send them to an integrated school so they wouldn't grow up to hate Catholics. Then maybe I would become a famous film director and produce a science fiction blockbuster that Steven Spielberg would be proud of, and the BBC would beg me to write an episode of Doctor Who, and Benny and Bjorn would ask me to direct the ABBA reunion concert in the year 2000. I would win an Oscar and be so rich that we would start our own charity and save whole villages in Africa. Leslie would open a designer boutique on the Lisburn Road, and it would be such a success that she would buy Anderson and Macaulay's in Royal Avenue and change the name to Evans and Macaulay's. Our children would grow up to become even more successful than us, but would never forget where they came from, and Leslie and I would become grandparents, but still trendy. Eventually, when we were very old, we would retire and move back to Port Stewart, where it had all begun, and live in a house with a lovely view of the Atlantic Ocean and the beautiful sunsets over Port Stewart Strand, and go for walks up and down the prom and buy pokes and Morelli's on a good day, if our arthritis wasn't too bad. Then finally, one day, when we were both old and tired, we'd die in each other's arms and go up to heaven and be together forever with God and Big Isabel and all the other wee good living folk that had ever lived. Lying there together in the darkness, it was just the two of us. For now this was our secret, and our hopes and dreams were ours alone. We were proper adults now, about to take on proper grown-up responsibilities like sex, definitely, a mortgage, possibly, a job, hopefully, and a dog, riskily. As I walked home that night, I decided to take a detour and walk along the empty beach in the moonlight. I was completely alone under a sky full of twinkling stars, with a carpet of soft sand beneath my ankle boots. The waves rolled in and out quietly, and the sea spray shone silver in the moonlight. I said a quiet prayer, thanking God for creating this moon and the sea and Leslie and me. I whistled a happy tune, like Anna in The King and I, but more manly, obviously, like Yul Brynner. I walked to the end of the Strand, climbed the Second World War sentry post, and stood on top of it, as if I was Marcellus in Hamlet and nothing was rotten in the state of anywhere. This was where I had got the green Simca stuck in the sand only a few short years ago. So much had changed since then. Big Isabel would definitely be proud of how all grown up I was. I took deep breaths of moist, salty air and stood very still, appreciating the beauty of the moonlight reflecting on the River Bann. The west of the Bann and the east of the Bann seemed at peace with each other. I could almost imagine I was living in a place of absolute harmony, like the Westy Disco on a Saturday night. I silently marvelled at how far I'd come in my life since I was a wee paper boy, delivering the Belfast Telegraph for Isle Mac up the Shankill. To think that just a few years ago I was a naive bread boy for the Ormeau Bakery, burdened by nothing but handfuls of plain and pan loaves. Now I was betrothed and about to become the first person in my family ever to graduate from university. In the post office on the West Circular Road, my mother would tell Mrs. Grant and all the women in our street how she would have to buy a hat for my graduation. And in the searing heat of the foundry on the Springfield Road, my father would boast to his workmates that a son of his had got an honours degree and would never have to work there. I still had no job, no money, and nowhere of my own to live, but I felt I had come of age, like the Karate Kid, but without the violence. My head was bursting with excitement as to what was going to happen next, and though the future was a mystery, I believed it would be kind. I was about to go forth on a great adventure, just like Indiana Jones, but with fewer whips and Nazis. I stood alone on the beautiful beach in the darkness, feeling happy and thankful. I searched for a slim stone to skim across the waves in celebration and found one that was perfect. As my stone skipped 3 times over the surface of the water and disappeared beneath the waves, I knew it was true. There was absolutely no doubt about it. I was all grown up now, so I was. The end. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me all these evenings. I really have appreciated your company. And here, there's quite a few other comments here. I really should respond to these before I go. But we see where we at. Very good, guys. Good laugh. Mattis Hatter says Paul Betts. Yes, some things never change. Paul, brilliant. The ring sounds a great idea, says Heather Carey. Oh. Great to see you, Leslie, says Brendan Toll. Maybe new Mercedes is in order, Norma Harrison. Oh, don't give her ideas. Brilliant, says Marlene Williamson. Leslie, I think you caught a good one. Oh, that's nice, Anne. Oh, says Susan Wilgar. Hello to lovely Leslie, says Diane Allen. You've no idea how much enjoyment this has brought. Very enjoyable tonight to Sadie Hannah. As long as she keeps your imagination healthy, the world is your oyster, says Anne. Kenneth, such a surprise to meet Leslie. I had no idea, says Kenneth. Alan, maybe an online rock spell episode could be next. That's a blast from the past. I've still got the tape somewhere, Alan. I think I've told you that before. Living the dream, Tony, says Alan. Helen, who knew you would save us all lockdown critters, says Anne. Hi, Tony from Squamish, British Columbia, says Jerry and Colette Osborne. We've really enjoyed all your readings. I'm originally from Ardoyne and my husband is from Greencastle. Great. Wish we were still locked down. We don't know what we're going to do without that hour every day. Are all your books available in audiobooks? Yes, Jerry and Colette. So that's lovely. You've been watching in British Columbia. So Paperboy is on audiobook. I'm just recording. I was in the middle of recording it when lockdown happened, so I'm going to be releasing Bread Boy on audiobook soon. And later on in the year, I'll grow it up. I've just released Little House on the Peace Line as a free audiobook on my YouTube channel for charity to raise money for a project I support in the slums of Kampala. So you can listen to Little House on the Peace Line on my YouTube channel, which is Paperboy Belfast. And Belfast Gate, my latest book, is also out on audiobook. It's a novel featuring the main characters are women. I felt like James Young when I was doing all the voices on it. It was good crack. A total romantic, says Anne. What a perfect ending. I've something in my eye, says Karen Shaya. Alan says, bringing peace to the east and the west would have been an easier target than bringing it to the north and the south. Love it, Tony. You're not going to read Belfast Gate. I've read it and loved it. Donna Lisk says, yeah, well, what I might do is actually, once things get back to normal, I might come back, and maybe not every night of the week, but I might come back and read some of the chapters from Belfast Gate, maybe later on in the year. I think that'll be a good thing to do. What a lovely ending, says Evelyn Brown. Can't thank you enough for sharing, Tony. It's been great. Tony, you knocked out of the park, says Norma. Thank you for your service to us. Next time I get to Portstewart, I'll take you and lovely Leslie out to dinner. Oh, that sounds like a date. Thanks, Tony, says Nigel McComb. All the best. Thanks, lovely Leslie. Nice to see you. Brought back so many memories of Belfast. Thank you, Nigel. Thanks, says Angela and Orla. Glad you've enjoyed it. Francis McGrath too. Thank you. Lovely ending. Thanks, Marlene. Norma says, when I get to Portstewart to see my niece, I'll be looking for you in Bob and Bert's, the coffee shop and the prom. All good things come to an end. That's true, Donna Hunter. Thank you very much, Tony. Little House in the Peace Line, fantastic, says Norma. Thanks for your time. And let me just see last few comments. Thank you, Tony, says Gail Reese. Saying Leslie was the icing on the cake. Okay, well, thanks very much. And so, I hope wherever you are in the world where you've been watching, I hope as we finally get through this awful pandemic and these lockdowns end and we get back to some sort of normality again. Until then, please stay safe, stay well, and stay positive.